War has shaped human history for thousands of years. From the sands of Sparta to the icy seas of the Vikings, warriors have risen who were more than just soldiers. They were living legends. But what makes a warrior truly deadly? Is it unmatched skill with weapons? Fearlessness in the face of death? Or the power to inspire armies and terrify enemies before the first strike is even made? Today, we rank the top 10 deadliest warriors in history, fighters whose names still echo through time. Each of them was more than flesh and blood. Each was a force of nature. Let's begin. 10. The Samurai of Japan. In feudal Japan, the samurai were more than soldiers. They were living embodiments of a code. Picture a quiet dawn, the fog hanging low over rice fields as a warrior kneels in meditation. His katana rests across his lap, gleaming in the dim light. This is a samurai. From the age of 7, samurai boys were trained in weapons, tactics, and discipline. Their code, Bushido, demanded absolute loyalty to their lord and complete acceptance of death. A samurai did not fear dying in battle. In fact, to fall with honor was the ultimate fate. Their weapons were as legendary as their resolve. The katana, forged through countless layers of steel, could cut with terrifying precision. Their bows were powerful enough to pierce armor. In battle, samurai were both artists and killers, striking with deadly elegance. But their true strength lay in their mindset. A samurai entered combat already prepared to die. That fearlessness made them some of the most dangerous warriors in human history. Number 9. The Viking Raiders. Now, shift your imagination to the cold, gray seas of the north. Long ships glide silently through the waves, dragon-headed prows slicing the water. Then, a horn sounds. Villages on the coast erupt in panic. The Vikings have arrived. From the 8th to the 11th centuries, Viking warriors unleashed terror across Europe. Armed with battle axes, swords, and round shields, they struck suddenly and without warning. Their ferocity was matched by their cunning. They sailed rivers deep into the heart of kingdoms, bypassing defenses, striking where no one thought possible. Some Vikings entered a berserker rage, fighting with such uncontrollable fury that enemies believed they were possessed by gods. Others fought with ruthless coordination, shield wall locking into shield wall, axes rising and falling like waves of iron. But the Vikings were not only raiders, they were explorers and settlers. They reached Iceland, Greenland, even North America centuries before Columbus. Yet to their enemies, what mattered most was the fear they inspired. The sight of a Viking sail on the horizon was often enough to make entire towns flee. Number 8. The Mongol Horse Archers. The endless grasslands of Central Asia produced one of the most terrifying warrior cultures in history. The Mongols lived on horseback. By the time a Mongol child could walk, they could already ride. By the time they were grown, they could shoot arrows with deadly accuracy at full gallop. When Genghis Khan united the tribes, he unleashed this warrior culture on the world. Mongol horse archers were nearly unstoppable. They could ride hundreds of miles in a week, attack with precision, and disappear before their enemies even realized what had happened. Their tactics were devastating. They pretended to flee, luring armies into ambushes. They encircled foes with terrifying speed. Their bows, powerful composite weapons, could pierce armor at great distances. Each warrior carried dozens of arrows, releasing a storm of death before the enemy even reached striking range. The Mongols conquered more land in a century than Rome did in 5. Kingdoms surrendered rather than face them. Whole cities fell not just to their arrows, but to their reputation. For their enemies, the Mongols were less like men and more like an unstoppable force of nature. Number 7. The Spartans of Greece. On the rocky soil of Sparta, a unique society forged warriors from childhood. At the age of 7, Spartan boys were taken from their families and thrust into the agoge, a brutal system of training that demanded endurance, discipline, and silence. Weakness was not tolerated. By adulthood, they were living weapons. Clad in bronze armor, carrying long spears and heavy shields, Spartans fought in the phalanx, a wall of men moving as one, shields overlapping, spears thrusting forward like the teeth of a single beast. The world remembers them most for the Battle of Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans and their allies held back a Persian army numbering in the tens of thousands. Though they fell, their stand became immortal. A Spartan was trained to never retreat, never surrender. The only way to return from battle was with their shield, or on it. That mindset made them some of the most disciplined, most feared warriors the ancient world had ever seen. Number 6. The Roman gladiators. Imagine standing in the Colosseum, the sun blazing overhead, 50,000 voices chanting for blood. In the center, 2 men face each other. For one, survival. For the other, death. These were the gladiators. Most were slaves, criminals, or prisoners of war. But through endless training in specialized schools, they became professional fighters of extraordinary skill. They fought with swords, tridents, nets, and shields, each weapon requiring a different style, each duel a test of endurance and cunning. Unlike soldiers, who fought occasionally, gladiators fought constantly, sometimes dozens of times in their lives. Their reflexes were sharpened to perfection. They studied their opponents, adapted quickly, and fought with the knowledge that every mistake could be their last. Some gladiators became legends, cheered like today's sports heroes. Others died in anonymity. But together, they proved that when the cost of defeat is death, a warrior becomes something more than human, something almost superhuman. Number 5. The Janissaries of the Ottoman Empire. Across the lands of the Ottoman Empire, a new kind of soldier rose, the Janissary. Taken as children through the Devshirme system, they were trained not as individuals, but as an elite corps bound by loyalty to the Sultan. Unlike medieval knights or feudal levies, Janissaries were professional soldiers. They drilled constantly, mastering firearms, bows, sabers, and halberds. Their discipline made them one of the most effective fighting forces of their time. The Janissaries were also innovators. They were among the first to use gunpowder weapons in Europe with devastating effect. At the Siege of Constantinople in 1453, they broke the walls of a 1,000-year-old empire, forever changing world history. In battle, they marched in perfect order, their distinctive uniforms and tall hats marking them as the Sultan's elite. To face the Janissaries was to face centuries of training, discipline, and an empire's will. Number 4. The Persian Immortals. Centuries earlier, the Persian Empire had fielded its own legendary elite, the Immortals. Numbering 10,000 at all times, their ranks were never allowed to fall. If one died, another immediately took his place. To outsiders, it seemed they could not die. The Immortals carried spears, bows, and short swords. They wore scale armor and marched with precision. On the battlefield, their presence was overwhelming, an unbroken wall of soldiers backed by the might of Persia. They fought under kings like Xerxes and Darius, facing Greeks, Egyptians, and countless others. Even when defeated, their reputation endured. To the ancient world, they were more than men. They were the very embodiment of an empire that seemed eternal. Number 3, the ninja of Japan. While samurai stood in the open, bound by honor, another kind of warrior moved in the shadows, the ninja. Ninjas were spies, assassins, and saboteurs. They mastered disguise, infiltration, and surprise. Armed with short blades, shuriken, and smoke bombs, they struck without warning and vanished into the night. What made them deadly was not brute force, but cunning. Ninjas used psychological warfare, spreading fear through whispers and shadows. A lord who thought himself untouchable could be cut down in his own home. Armies could be undone by sabotage before a single battle began. They proved that the deadliest warrior is not always the strongest, but the one you never see coming. Number 2. The Vikings. Imagine standing in the Vikings' Valhalla, the Number 2. The Knights of Medieval Europe. In medieval Europe, few sights were as terrifying as a fully armored knight on horseback. Covered head to toe in steel, wielding lances and swords, knights were the tanks of their age. A single charge could shatter enemy lines. Beyond raw strength, knights lived by the code of chivalry, binding their ferocity with ideals of loyalty and service. From the Crusades to endless wars across Europe, knights became both heroes and nightmares. Their training was lifelong, their weapons deadly, and their presence on the battlefield almost unstoppable. For centuries, the knight was the very image of power, feared by common soldiers and respected by kings. Number 1. The Mongol warriors of Genghis Khan, and at the very top, we return to the steppes. The Mongol warriors of Genghis Khan were, without question, the deadliest the world has ever seen. In less than 100 years, they built the largest contiguous empire in history. Their armies moved with impossible speed, riding for days with no rest, living off the land. Their composite bows could kill at ranges unmatched in their time. Their tactics were revolutionary: encirclements, feigned retreats, psychological warfare. Cities fell not only to their arrows, but to the fear they inspired. Resistance often meant annihilation. Surrender could mean survival. Even the mightiest kingdoms bent before them. The Mongols were not simply warriors. They were an unstoppable storm. And under Genghis Khan, they reshaped the world in a way no other army before or since has matched. Closing reflection from the shadows of the ninja to the thunder of Mongol hooves, history's deadliest warriors reveal something timeless. That true power is not just in weapons, but in discipline, courage, and the will to fight. Each of these warriors lived in different lands and ages, yet they share one truth. When they took the field, the world around them trembled. So which warrior do you think was truly the deadliest of all time?